It's a question I hear almost every week, almost every day. Will AI replace teachers? Will AI replace principals? Will AI replace managers? Will AI replace writers? Will AI replace customer service? Will AI replace doctors? Lawyers? Will AI replace our jobs? But tonight, I'd like to suggest that we're asking the wrong question. Because the real question isn't, will AI replace leaders? The real question is, what kind of leaders will still be needed in a world where AI can do more than ever before? So think about what AI can already do. It can write reports, analyze thousands of pages of information in seconds. We're not able to move that fast. In schools, it can generate lesson plans. It can create presentations, summarize meetings, review data. It can draft policies. It can even translate languages. It can answer questions almost instantly. And every day, it's getting better and better. So, if AI can do all of that, what becomes even more valuable? My answer is simple: human and human leadership. Because leadership has never been about having the fastest answers. Leadership has always been about making the wisest decision. Welcome to Leadership Unscripted. Tonight's conversation is called AI Won't Replace You. What it will do, it will expose your weaknesses. Let's begin with a quick poll. And I want you to type yes or no. Have you used AI in the past month? Have you used AI in the past month? Yes or no? Have you used AI in the past month? Let me see your response in the chat. Yes or no? I've used it. Adriana said I use it every day. Nikki says yes. Very good. Now here's another question. Flair said yes. What have you used it for? Do we use it for writing? For drafting our emails? Teacher, do you use it for lesson planning? Do we use it to support our research? What about business? Do we use it in our businesses? What about for our social media pages? Do we use AI to support content creation? What about when children come home with homework? Do we use AI to help us sometimes? Or when we have our own work to do we use AI to support us? Dr. Oren says create posters. Yes. What about when you have an idea and you're not so sure which direction to take that idea? We use AI to help us generate ideas or to flesh out our ideas. Adriana says, I use it to create promotional videos for businesses. I use it for content creation. Yes, so we use AI every day. And we use it for a myriad of purposes. But look how quickly the world has changed. A few years ago, most of us weren't using AI at all. Today, many of us use it almost every day. I use AI every day. So the question isn't whether AI is coming. It's already here. The real question is, how should we respond? How should leaders respond? How should we respond to AI? So I want to challenge something tonight. For decades, people believed that knowledge, Adriana says, I use it to help with my business. AI is here. It is indeed here to stay. So for decades, people believed that knowledge was the greatest advantage a leader could have. If you knew more than everyone else, you had influence. Today, knowledge is available in seconds. Almost anyone can ask AI a question. Anyone. So if everyone has access to information, then information is no longer the greatest advantage. Judgment becomes the advantage. Character becomes the advantage. Wisdom becomes the advantage. Empathy becomes the advantage. Trust is now the advantage. Those things AI can support, but they remain deeply, solely human responsibilities. When you talk about character, wisdom, empathy, trust, AI can support them, but they remain deeply the responsibilities of us as humans. Now think about the greatest leader you've ever worked with. Was it because they knew everything? Probably not. You respected them because they listened, they stayed calm under pressure, they treated people fairly, they admitted mistakes, they inspired confidence, they cared. They cared. None of those qualities require artificial intelligence. Do you agree with me? None of those qualities require artificial intelligence. So why do some leaders frown upon the use of AI? Why do some of us criticize the use of AI? Why are we threatened by AI? Because while AI can produce information by click your finger, it is incapable of doing the emotional things that humans can. Treating people fairly, admitting mistakes, inspire confidence, showing genuine human care and connection. None of those qualities require artificial intelligence. They require what? Emotional intelligence. And emotional intelligence, ladies and gentlemen, may become even more valuable as artificial intelligence becomes more common. So imagine this. You are the principal of a large school. Your school has invested in a powerful AI platform. Every week, the system analyzes attendance, behavior incidents, produces assessment data, safeguarding trends, produce reading progress, mathematics outcomes. Within minutes, it identifies 20 students who appear to be at risk. Now here's the question. Has the AI solved the problem? The answer is no. What AI did was identified the pattern. But who must decide what to do next? Who meets with families? Who comforts an anxious child? Who supports a struggling teacher? Who balances compassion with accountability? We need human to do that. Because what? AI can identify patterns. It can provide information. It can give us trends in data. But only humans can build true relationships. So let's be careful not to confuse information with wisdom. Information tells you what is happening, and that's the purpose of AI. It gives you information. It tells you what is happening. Wisdom helps you understand why it's happening. Wisdom helps you understand why it's happening. Nikki says, sir, please give yourself a drum roll. Why is that, Nikki? AI might tell you the attendance has dropped. It will tell you the attendance has dropped. A great leader asks, what's happening in this child's life? AI might tell you a teacher's performance has declined. A great leader is going to ask, are they struggling? Are they overwhelmed? How can I support them? So the technology gives you the data. It gives us data. People make meaning of that data. AI can give you wonderful information, but if you don't know what to do with it, and let us not forget, AI give you what you input. You get out of AI what you input. If you input foolishness, it's going to give you foolishness. AI give you the information you ask for. Nikki says we definitely forget the emotional well-being and AI is not able to match. Exactly. It's not, and it will never be able to. As leaders, we should learn it. AI need human to feed it with data and human give the command. Exactly. So we should not feel threatened by AI. And when we're in our workplace and someone produces information, the first thing we're asking, was it produced by AI? So what if it was produced by AI? What if it was, nothing is wrong with it being produced by AI. It is what you do with the AI information. It is what you do with the information that AI gives you. It is what you do with it matters. So here's what I believe AI will actually do. Human will still be needed. So here's what I believe AI will still actually do. It won't replace great leaders. It won't replace us. It will expose weak leaders. And why do I say AI will expose weak leaders? Because if your leadership has always been based on being the smartest in the room, AI changes that equation. If your leadership depends on simply providing information, AI can provide it faster. But if your leadership is built on trust, relationship, character, ethics, vision, and developing people, technology doesn't replace that. It magnifies its importance. What did I say? What did I say? If your leadership is based on being the smartest person in the room, you will never beat AI. You will not be able to. AI produces information in seconds. If your leadership depends on simply providing information, well, AI is faster than you. Your leadership needs to be built on relationship, trust, character, ethics, vision, and on developing your team. Technology cannot replace that. Technology cannot replace those traits. So I'd like you to answer this question tonight. What is one human quality you believe AI will never truly replace? Let me hear from you. What is one human quality you believe AI will never replace? Compassion. AI can attempt to show compassion, but it will never replace that. Dav says empathy. What is one human quality AI will never truly love? Adriana says love. Dav says empathy. Anybody else? What is one human quality you believe AI can never truly replace? It can attempt, but it will never truly replace it. Dav says empathy. Adriana says love. What about compassion? What about integrity? Discernment. So Royal Tally said growth. Humor. A kind word. Adriana, a kind word. Courage. And do you notice something? None of those qualities appear on a computer screen. None of those. None of those qualities we've just listed appear on a computer screen. They're experienced through human relationships. And that's why leadership, that's why us as human will always matter. No matter the amount of AI they have out there. No matter the amount of artificial intelligence, humans will always matter. So here is a thought I'd like you to write down tonight. Artificial intelligence can help us make faster decisions. It cannot help us become better human beings. Artificial intelligence can help us make faster decisions. It gives us information in seconds, but it cannot help us become better human beings. That responsibility still belongs to us. Technology can improve efficiency, yes, but only people, only leaders can build culture. Technology can automate a task, yes. Only leaders can inspire purpose. Technology can process information. Only leaders can earn true trust. Nobody's going to get up and trust the machine, but they'll trust you as the human. So the leaders most threatened by AI aren't the ones who lead people well. They're the ones whose leadership depended on knowing more than everyone in the room. So when you see someone and you see people up in arms and they're all threatened and have everything bad to say about AI, it's because, guess what? They believe their leadership, their existence was based on knowing the most in the room. Now AI replaced them. And the human quality, that emotional side of them, is lacking. They're not caring. They're not empathetic. They don't know how to build genuine, lasting relationships. And guess what? People can go by the click of a button, get information in seconds. So people are not relying on them for information. So instead of embracing growth, instead of embracing the technology, they criticize it. And that's a fact. So think about that. Exactly, Ashley. Because the future belongs to leaders who are willing to keep learning while never losing sight of the people they serve. So AI won't replace us. It won't replace great leaders. It will expose the bad ones. It won't replace great leaders. It cannot. What it will do is expose the bad ones. So I made a statement earlier that I know some people may still be thinking about. I said AI won't replace great leaders, but it will expose bad ones. Now let me explore what I meant by that. Because this conversation isn't really about technology. It's about leadership. Technology simply shines a brighter light on it. So for decades, many leaders were valued because they had access to information that others didn't. If you knew more, people depended on you. If you had the reports, people came to you. If Adriana says people are afraid of changes, and that is good in some ways, but change is necessary. So if you knew more, people depended on you. If you had the reports, people would come to you. If you understood the data, people waited for your direction. But today, in today's world, almost anyone can access information in seconds. AI has changed the rules. So here's the question. If everyone has access to information, what makes a leader valuable? That's the question every leader should be asking themselves. Officially Blessed, it exposes the flaws in bad. It does, definitely does. So I'd like everyone watching tonight to answer honestly. Complete the sentence for me. The one thing AI can never replace is what? Compassion, trust, empathy, judgment, relationships, wisdom, purpose. AI will never replace those things. So let's imagine two principals. Both have access to exactly the same AI system. Thank you, Kimo. Empathy. Let us imagine two principals. Both have access to exactly the same AI system. The software analyzes attendance, behavior, assessment, reading progress, safeguarding concern. It does everything. Both principals received identical reports. One principal immediately starts sending emails, creates spreadsheets, schedules interventions, focuses entirely on the numbers. The second principal does something different. They walk into classrooms. They ask teachers, "What are you noticing?" They sit with students. They call parents. They ask, "Tell me what's happening at home." Same technology, completely different leadership. Now, my question to you, which school do you think will build stronger relationships? Is it the one where the principal just uses the AI information and starts sending out emails, setting up intervention groups? Or is it the principal who took the information AI gave them, walk into classrooms, ask teachers questions, sat with students, call parents, ask about what's happening at home? Which school do you think will build stronger relationships? Lacey, good night. Which school do you think will build stronger relationships? Is it the principal who just took the AI information and send it out, take it at face value? Or is it the principal who took that information and knew that behind the information there's a context, there are humans, there are relationships, there are a lot of things behind that information, and that principal used that information to guide their actions? Exactly so, Royal Tally. The second principal understand clearly that the information AI produce needs the human touch. Kimo said the second one, because the application is information, is necessary. Exactly. So you see, AI will not replace us. AI will not replace us. AI can tell us what is happening, but only humans can discover why it is happening. What did I say? AI can tell us what is happening, but when it comes down to the why, the how, it needs us. It needs human. So one of my concerns about the future isn't that AI will become too intelligent. No. My concern is that people might become less relational. Think about it. If we are not careful, we'll spend more time talking to machines than talking to each other. We'll become efficient but disconnected. Productive but emotionally unavailable. Leadership cannot become transactional because people aren't projects. People aren't data. People aren't algorithms. Every child has a story. Every employee has a story. Every family has a story. All of us has a story. Great leaders, great people never forget that. And AI cannot, artificial intelligence cannot understand and tell us that story. Kimo says, less relational and lacking in critical thinking skills. So true. Adriana said, we will become dependable. Exactly. So while AI will tell us the what, it will give us the information. The why relies on us. It relies on us. So let us move away from the school tonight. So imagine you're a CEO. Imagine you're a CEO. Your company uses AI to identify the lowest performing employees. Your company uses AI to identify your lowest performing employees. The system produces a list. At the top of the list is someone who has worked for your organization for 20 years. The recommendation is simple: terminate employment. That is what AI is saying. But before making the decision, you discover something. Their spouse has recently been diagnosed with cancer. They're caring for an elderly parent. Their own health has declined. Now I want everyone watching to answer this. Should the leader simply follow the recommendation from AI, or should the leader consider the human story behind the data? What do you think? Should the leader follow the recommendation from AI, or should the leader consider the human story? The human story behind the data. Nikki says that we need to. The human story. As I said, AI will give us the what, but the why, the story, the human element of it. Consider the human story. And this is where the leader should reach out to the employee and find a way to better. Exactly. This is where leadership begins. AI identified a trend. Leadership must exercise judgment, because fairness isn't always achieved by treating everyone identically. No. Sometimes fairness requires understanding the context. And that's why in some organizations, when leaders make decisions, as employees, we should not be too quick to judge. Why so-and-so did that and I wasn't offered that? No. There's context. And sometimes before you stand to the side or stay on the outside and judge, try to understand the context. Don't be an AI tonight. Don't just provide the what. Don't just provide face value information. There is a story behind every human. There is a story that comes with every single employee. If you're a teacher, there's a story that comes with every single child. There's a story that comes with every single family. No matter what field you're in, there is a story that comes with every single human you encounter daily. So here's something we need to teach the next generation. Technology answers questions. Wisdom asks better ones. AI may tell you, this employee's performance has declined. Wisdom asks, what support might help them succeed? AI may tell you, this student is underperforming. Guess what wisdom will ask? What barriers are standing in this child's way? So AI processes information. Leaders, humans, must interpret humanity. Those are not the same skills. What did I say? AI processes information. Humans, us, must interpret humanity. Those are not the same skills. So imagine you're interviewing two candidates for a leadership role. Listen to this one. You are interviewing two candidates for a leadership role. While you listen, please remember to tap the live. Like the live while you listen. So you're interviewing two candidates for a leadership role. Candidate 1 has exceptional technical skills. They know every system, every platform, every piece of software. They know. Candidate 2 has strong technical skills too, but they also demonstrate humility. They listen carefully. They ask thoughtful questions. They admit when they don't know something. They inspire confidence. My question to you, which person would you trust to lead your team through uncertainty? Is it candidate A or candidate B? Which of those candidates would you trust to lead your team through times of uncertainty? Is it the candidate that knows every platform, exceptional technical skills, knows every system, understands every software? Or is it the candidate who has strong technical skills too, but demonstrates humility? They listen, they ask thoughtful questions, they admit when they're wrong, and they inspire confidence. Who would you trust to lead your team in times of uncertainty? Jackie says B. So are royalties. Exactly. You're on point. You're on point. Because the future isn't choosing between technology and humanity. We can't do that. The future belongs to leaders who know how to combine both. The future isn't choosing between technology and humanity. The future belongs to leaders who know how to combine both. So guess what? So if you're a leader and you're just going to sit behind your computer, put data into AI, generate reports, and use that to make decisions, slippery slope. If you're a teacher and you're just going to use AI to generate the lesson plan, the beautiful lesson plan AI will give you, but does AI understand the students in your class? Does AI know the students in your class? So while AI can help you with the lesson plan, you as a teacher need to adapt that lesson plan to suit the needs of the children in your class. If you're a leader, while AI will give you beautiful reports, you need to ensure that it is applicable and it fully represents the context of your institution. So AI will give us information, but it needs us, it needs human to manipulate it and contextualize it so it fits the story. It needs to fit the context it's being applied to. And that's why I said earlier, the future isn't choosing between technology and humanity. The future belongs to us, to people who know how to combine both. And you see, people who know how to combine technology with humanity, they're powerful. They are powerful. They use AI to make them more efficient. They don't just use AI to give them information. They use AI to make them more efficient. Thank you, Trace Ingram. Thank you very much. So remember, AI gives us the what, but the human side of us is needed. We need to contextualize it. We need to adapt that information to ensure it fits the context. So when I wrote this book, The Psychology of Fragility, I kept coming back to one idea. Fragile organizations often become obsessed with systems while neglecting people. They measure everything except trust. They track performance but ignore relationships. They celebrate efficiency but overlook well-being. Technology should strengthen human leadership, not replace it. Remember that. Because the strongest organizations are built on trust. And trust cannot be automated. Trust cannot be automated. So this book reminds us that systems matter, but systems exist to serve people. The systems we create should exist to serve people. People should never exist to serve systems. Always remember that. Always remember that. Systems exist to serve people, not the other way around. People should never exist to serve systems. So I'd like everyone to answer this. Think about the best leader you've ever had. What made them unforgettable? Think about the best leader you've ever had. What made them unforgettable? Is it that they believed in you? Is it that they listened? Were they always encouraging you? Were they calm? Were they fair? Did they care? And there are many other adjectives we could use to describe leaders who are unforgettable. And I'm sure nobody on this platform tonight is always encouraging. Dav says always encouraging. Nobody on this live tonight will say they remember that person because they were the smartest in the room. None of you will remember a leader because they were the smartest in the room. Because intelligence, it will earn admiration. But it's the character. Your character earns loyalty. And I see Adriana says, they care, Dav said, believed when I didn't. So can I leave you with a thought before we move into our final segment? So royalty says that person was a confidant. Exactly. So I want to leave something with you tonight before we go into our final segment. Every generation has experienced a technological revolution. Every generation has experienced a technological revolution. When I was in high school, we had the floppy disk. You remember those days? When you had the floppy disk and you insert it in the computer, that floppy disk, that's what we used to do to save our work on SBAs on. Who remember floppy disk? And the typewriter. Peng, 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 the type. Who remember those things? Who remember those things? Those days, the typewriter and the floppy disk. And if that floppy disk ever drop, and the typewriter used to make pure noise, and if you make one mistake, you have to take out the paper and start all over again. Who remember the typewriter? And when they used to teach us typing, who remember those days? So every generation has experienced a technological revolution. And by the time we got to college, there are people at flash drive now. People at hard drive. The things changed. Laptop became common, so nobody was using no typewriter anymore. So every generation experienced a technological evolution. Every generation. The printing press, electricity, computers, the internet, and now AI. So technology as always changes. Technology always changes how we work. It has always been there. It will always be there. Technology has come a far way. So technology always changes how we work. It always will. It won't change. But leadership determines why we work and who we become while doing it. And that's why leadership will never become obsolete. In fact, it may become more important than ever. So I want you to remember this. AI may become the smartest tool in the room. AI may become the smartest tool in the room, but it will never become the wisest in the room. So AI may have become the smartest in the room, smartest tool in the room. It will never become the wisest in the room. Because wisdom isn't measured by how much information you possess. No, wisdom is measured by how faithfully you serve people with the knowledge you have. What you do with the knowledge. So while AI is the smartest in the room, it takes wisdom to use that information to change people's lives, to apply to the context. Thank you, Unchangeable One. Thank you for that gift. So Adriana says, smartest tool because of the information, wise human input. Exactly. So far we've been talking about artificial intelligence. It's about you, and now it's about human intelligence. It's about human judgment, human character, human leadership. Because as technology becomes more advanced, and it will become more advanced, the next 10, 15 years from now, something will come about that is way better than AI. Yes, the next 10, 15 years from now, somebody will come with something that is much better than AI. So as technology becomes more advanced, the question isn't whether machines will become more capable. It will. Machines will become more capable. The question is whether leaders, whether people will become more intentional. AI will continue to evolve. It will become faster, smarter, more accurate, more efficient. But there's one thing it will never possess, and that's a conscience. AI will never possess a conscience. It cannot wrestle with right and wrong. It cannot genuinely care. It cannot inspire hope during uncertainty. It cannot comfort someone experiencing a loss. It cannot build trust through integrity. Those responsibility belongs to us, belongs to human. And that's why I believe the future belongs to people who understand technology without forgetting humanity. So we need to know how to balance both. What did I say? We need to know how to balance both and not just run with whatever information AI gives us. Not just run with it. It must be applicable. It must be relevant. It's going to give us good information, but what we do with it is equally important. It is very, very important. Remember, if you're just joining the live, please remember to like the live, share the live. Invite a friend, ask a friend to invite a friend. And for those who are on the live, if you have not yet followed my page, if you've not yet followed my YouTube channel, it's Dr. R. Dale. Please go and subscribe to my YouTube channel, because in the nights I want to also go live on YouTube along on this platform, because there are a lot of people who want to join the live, but they don't use TikTok. So I want to go live on more than one platform to provide the information, to get information out there to more people. So it's Yasef says, like how you sound. Thank you, Bossy. So it's time for the principal's chair. Listen to this now. So tonight's scenario isn't fictional. It's becoming increasingly common. Imagine you're the principal for a school. Your leadership team has invested in an advanced AI system. The system analyzes behavior records, attendance, academic performance, safeguarding data, and well-being surveys. One morning, the dashboard highlights a year 6 student. The system predicts that this child is at high risk of academic failure and behavioral concerns during secondary school. The recommendation appears on the screen: immediate intervention recommended. On paper, the data is convincing, but something doesn't feel right. Because guess what? As a leader, as a teacher, you know this child. You've spoken with them. You've seen how kind this child is. You've watched them encourage younger students. You also know something the system doesn't. 3 months ago, the child's grandmother passed away. Attendance declined because the family was grieving. Behavior changed because the child was struggling emotionally. The algorithm sees patterns. We see a person. So my question is, who should make the final decision? The software or the person? Who should make the final decision? Is it the software or the person? Considering that there's a lot of information that the software isn't privy to. And that is a lesson for us tonight. We cannot, while we have all these platforms generating information, giving us information, we cannot take all those information at face value. There is a context, there is a story behind every single human being. So a child may be struggling. You cannot just download that report and pass it to parents to say, oh, your child is struggling. Your child needs intervention. No. You need to take the time to understand why the child is struggling. Is the child being properly supported in class? What are the support systems in place? Is the child getting support at home? That there is a story. There's always a story. And unless we take the time to understand the story and the context behind every individual, we're not being fair. We're not being fair. So here's what concerns me most about the future. Not that AI will become too intelligent, but that people might become less thoughtful. So Royalty says, understand the meaning behind the field. Exactly. Some religions are real. Exactly. Here what concerns me most about the future. Not that AI will become too intelligent, because we can't stop that. But the leaders, people, us, might become less thoughtful. If every decision becomes automated, who remains accountable? If a hiring algorithm discriminates unintentionally, who answers for that? If technology overlooks a child's potential, who advocates for that child? If a business follows data without considering dignity, who protects the people affected? Remember, technology cannot carry moral responsibility. People do. Leadership has always involved accountability. Remember that. And no technology should ever become an excuse for avoiding it. One of the easiest things a leader can say in the future will be, the system made the decision. One of the hardest things a leader will continue to say is, the responsibility is mine. That's the difference between managing technology and leading people. While the technology gives you the information, you need to know what you do with that information. So can I share something with you? I want to share something with you. Throughout my leadership journey, over 18 years, I've relied on evidence, assessment data, attendance figures, behavior reports, inspection findings, performance information. Those things matter, and I have relied on them because they matter. In fact, good leaders should use evidence. But I've also learned something equally important. The spreadsheet never tells the whole story. The graph doesn't show the tears. The attendance percentage doesn't explain the family crisis. The assessment score doesn't reveal the child who stayed awake half the night worrying. So data helps us understand performance. Relationships helps us understand people. And great leaders, good leaders need both. Good leaders need both. And that's why I don't fear AI. I will never fear AI. What I fear is people who stop talking to people because they're only looking at a dashboard. What I fear are leaders who just sit behind the screen, plug data into a system, and think it is applicable. No. I cannot sit in my office and use AI to determine what should happen in a teacher's classroom. No, I can't do that. I can't do that without going in and understanding each child in that classroom, the context and the environment in which the teacher is working. So that's why we cannot sit behind the screen and make decisions solely based on information given to us from AI. So while information may be valuable, be cautious, be careful. You need to use it properly. So this book, The Teaching and Learning Leader, people often ask me, what should schools be preparing children for? Yosef says, you talk spiritual things, bro. I discern the side you're on later down the road. All right, Yosef. So people often ask me, what should schools be preparing children for? And many expect me to say coding, artificial intelligence, digital skills. And don't get me wrong, those things matter. They do matter. But if I had to choose one priority, it would be developing the qualities that technology cannot replace. Good character, integrity, curiosity, empathy, critical thinking, how to work with people, and making ethical decisions. Those things would be my answer. Because the future isn't asking whether children can use AI. They will. The future is asking whether our children will be able to use AI wisely. So in this book, The Teaching and Learning Leader, I write about developing learning cultures where technology enhances education without replacing relationships. Teachers don't simply deliver content. Remember that. A teacher should not only deliver content. Teachers should inspire. They should challenge thinking. They should build belonging. They use technology, of course, to support the work, but it cannot replace the human connection that makes learning meaningful. Technology cannot replace the human connection that makes learning meaningful. So always remember, schools can thrive. The schools that thrive won't simply have the newest technology. No. They'll have leaders, they'll have people, they'll have how to combine innovation with compassion. If you don't care, no matter how good the lesson is, if you don't care, if you're a teacher and you don't care for them, for those children, no matter how bright you are, no matter how good the lesson is, you will not be able to reach that child. If you don't like a child, no matter how good and beautiful you plan the lesson, if the child sense that you don't care for them and there is no connection between you and the child, you will never be able to teach that child. If the parent feels and have evidence to show that you don't like their child or you're not caring, that parent will never trust you to impart knowledge to their child. So while we may have the beautiful lessons, the beautiful classrooms, remember the human connection. Human connection. Relationship is very, very important. So it's time for the family table on the show tonight. So tonight's conversation might be one of the most important you've ever had. Ask anyone around the table, what human quality do you hope technology never replaces? That's what I want you to ask somebody in your family tonight. What human quality do you hope technology never replaces? And then ask them another question. What should schools and parents teach children today that will still matter 50 years from now? You're going to listen carefully, because you're going to probably hear answers such as kindness, honesty, respect, resilience, courage, integrity. AI cannot teach those skills. AI cannot teach those skills. AI cannot teach a child to be white, to be kind. AI cannot teach honesty. It cannot teach respect. It cannot teach resilience. It cannot teach a child to be courageous. And it cannot teach integrity. Those answers remind us that while the tools around us change, the values that guide us remain remarkably constant. And it needs human. It needs us. So here's your challenge before we meet again. The next time you use AI, don't only ask, how can this make me more efficient? No. Also ask, how can I use this to become more present, to be more thoughtful, and more available to the people I work with? Let technology save your time. Yes, let technology save you time. Then invest that time where it matters most. Have one more conversation, visit one more classroom, coach one more teacher, call one more parent, mentor one more young leader. Because if AI gives us back time, great leaders will invest that time in people. If as a teacher, AI save you time with planning the lesson plan, invest that time that AI gave you back to get to know a child, to support a child. Remember that. Not simply put in more work. So as we close tonight's show, remember, every generation experiences a technological revolution. Every generation. Some feared books would replace memory. Some feared television would replace conversation. Some feared computers would replace thinking. Now people fear AI will replace leadership. And I don't believe that. I believe AI will reveal what leadership has always been about. It's not about information. It should not be about titles. Leadership should not be about authority. It should be about people. Because when someone is grieving, they don't need an algorithm. They need compassion. When a team loses confidence, they don't need software. They need hope. Organization faces uncertainty, they don't simply need predictions, they need courage. And courage has always belonged to human beings. Yosef says, what this man speaks is key value points that will help us down. So true, bro. So true. So true. So true. So here are my final words for tonight. Artificial intelligence may transform the way we work, but only human leadership can transform the people we work with. And finally, the leaders of the future won't be remembered because they mastered technology. They'll be remembered because in a world increasingly shaped by machines, they never stopped seeing the humanity in the people they served. So until next time, remember, keep learning, keep leading, keep putting people